Relationships are difficult to navigate in this day and age. Today's guests are relationship experts. Stay tuned to find out how you can make yours work. My name is Yvonne Lewis, and you're watching Urban Report. Hello and welcome to Urban Report. If you watch Dare to Dream, our guests today are not strangers to you. They're the hosts of Making It Work, Dare to Dream's relationship program, Dr. Kim Logan-Nowlin and Arthur Nowlin. They're here in the studio, not via Skype, but here in the studio with us. Welcome to Urban Report. Yay!
Oh, thank you, Bob.
So glad to have you.
Thank you, sweet.
You guys are doing such an amazing job on Making It Work. We're
Appreciate
so
that.
blessed to have you as our host.
That's great. That's great.
I want to know, how do you two make it work?
Wow.
Prayer.
It has to be.
I'm telling you about prayer and also allowing him his own space.
Okay.
You know, humor, being able to be open to that. He told me the other day, you know, I can't joke with you. I said, yes, you can. You know, and after he walked away, I was kind of sad. I said, that hit me. You can joke with me, you know, but you've got to be open to the newness, the possibilities of your relationship. And then he's a golfer, I'm not, I'm a shopper. Let's make it work, all right?
Conflict. Conflict.
Now, is that a conflict?
Absolutely.
Is that a source of conflict?
You know,
No.
Because I think she spends more money shopping than I do on golf.
Okay, all right.
It takes a lot to make this work, all right?
You know what I noticed, and I really appreciate it, is you guys have such a great chemistry. You know, you've learned to just kind of negotiate, navigate through everything, and you've learned how to make it work, and you're helping others
Praise
to
God.
do that
Praise
on
God.
the program.
Well, one of the things that it didn't come easy. It was trial and error. But the most important thing is we kept trying. There were times when we would just look at each other and wonder why or how we would make it the next day or that day. But through the grace of God, He always allowed us one particular, I guess, defense, which I think is we have the power of prayer. And one of the things that we decided a long time ago, Yvonne, it was the fact that no matter what, that we will pray about the situation before we go to sleep. No matter if it's something that was really jeopardizing our relationship that day, we would still pray about it. Prayer is the only thing that has managed to keep us together for all these years.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you know, it's so important for our viewers to hear this, because sometimes they look at, you know, people that are hosting programs and they think, oh, well, their relationship is perfect. No relationship is perfect because no people are perfect.
That's right.
So there are going to be issues. Every couple has issues.
That's right.
And the fact that you have learned that prayer is the answer. And it's not just some pat answer.
No.
You know, but prayer is the answer, because that's what kind of helps you. I would imagine that when you pray together, you can't really be that angry with each other when you're praying for each other.
You know, sometimes he's reached out and I was angry. You know, would you like to have prayer? And I wanted to say no, but the Spirit of the Lord said, I'm going to tell you the truth. But I would take his hand, and sometimes I would take his hand like whatever. But the Lord said, no, you can't be like, and he could tell the difference versus, But if you want good balance, you can't do it without the Spirit of the Lord, and you have to release what your flesh is telling you to do, because you have choices. God gives us His free will, God. And, you know, He gives us a choice every day, and I made a choice. I took those vows. I made a commitment. You know, He's a loving husband, a loving father. At times, I'm very controlling. At times. I knew there we go. And I can just take charge and make it work. But, you know, but we know our roles, we know where we are. And He will say, there are times, Kim, you know, this is your strength, this is my strength, and when my faith is weak, your faith is strong. When mine is weak, you know, and yours is weak, I'm strong for you. And you've got to know how to have each other's back. That balance has to be there. You've seen that little exercise, if you lean back into your spouse, will they catch you? Some spouses let their spouses fall.
Wow.
Okay, we've seen that happen.
Yeah.
But Arthur has been there to catch my back. And he's always said, I need you to have my back, Kim.
Yes.
You know, and that's been very important to him.
And you know, in our inner cities, the relationships and the focus is so usually, it's just so twisted right now. You know, what are some of the cases that you guys practice in Detroit?
That's right.
And what are some of the cases that you have in terms of relationships and relationship building and conflict and all that? What kinds of cases do you have?
One of the things that's prevalent and that stands out to me is we find a lot of selfishness in the relationship. People have gotten to a certain point where the love is not as intense as it was in the beginning. And what happens is that they find other things to occupy them and to make them feel comfortable. And somewhere along the line, there's a division that occurs, and if it's not addressed, then what happens is it tends to go out into different directions and cause a lot of friction. So how do you get that person back, or how do you get the marriage back on track? And you know, sometimes with the selfishness, there's a resistance that exists that really is the barrier to reconcile the marriage itself.
That's such a good point. So how do you then, when you have a couple that was once connected and they have disconnected, it's usually so hard to get them to reconnect. What kinds of steps do you take, especially people who don't know the Lord? You know, what do you do with couples who don't know the Lord? How do you get them back? What kinds of steps do you take?
First step that we always emphasize is that we have to increase our communication.
Okay.
We encourage them to take a risk. The risk is, okay, where you know you're not doing particular things that you used to do. Now we're encouraging you to do things that's going to assist you in salvaging your marriage.
Okay.
Communication is one. And I know Kim is very adamant about a date night.
Date night.
Okay, come on.
Date night. Don't mess with my date night now. Our date night.
You guys have a date
Yes.
night? I love it.
We start off at breakfast, and then we go to Costco's.
Oh, wait a minute now. Wait. Wait a minute now. Okay, so you're into shopping, right?
Oh, yeah.
We just found out you're into shopping, so it kind of sounds like this date night is a little bit kind of in
Geared
your
toward me.
favor.
That's right, because we end up at the mall. And we'll end up at the museum.
Okay.
We've gone to the museum together, the park. We were on our way to do our family life in Illinois. And we stopped to get something to eat, and we stopped at a rest area. And we didn't get a chance to have our date day that day. So my husband pulled over. He said, let's have our picnic.
Oh, spontaneity. I love it.
Those are the things that you have to remember. Why did you get connected in the first place? Why were you married? And something that I utilize, and it's really important in political propaganda, before you can reconstruct, you have to deconstruct.
Explain.
Okay, now what you have to do is go in and tear off the layers.
Okay.
Tear the layers off, selfishness, that independence, the low self-esteem. We've got to get to the root of where this all started. Then we begin to reconstruct, and we build new layers so that you can look at yourself differently.
That's interesting because from a physical perspective, as a naturopath, you know, you cleanse and then you rebuild.
Right.
That's right.
So you're saying it's basically the same concept.
Oh, yes.
You deconstruct and reconstruct.
Because you got to get all that waste out.
Yes,
You know,
detoxify.
detoxify, girl. And if you don't, it's going to come right back in again. And it's going to poison your relationship, and you're back to square one.
But let me emphasize once again, risk. You know, because nothing happens unless you're willing to change the behavior. And that's very important. So we want to modify this behavior that's been causing us confusion, this behavior that's causing us all type of anger towards each other. So now let's take a risk to do something different, because if we both come to an agreement where we want to resolve our issues, we want to have a happy marriage. Okay, so now what do we need to do differently? And I think one of the things that's really significant when our clients come to us is we have to get them on the same page. We have to let them know, now, from this point on, whatever has happened, you need to forgive that situation and move on if you're willing to resolve the issue.
If you're willing to resolve, and that's one of the places where they stay stuck, because you did this to me. One of our cases, the wife committed adultery.
Okay.
And it was, when they came in, I was like, oh, hi, how are you? Married 4 months. It blew, that's the kind of look I had, blew me away.
Wow.
And like I said, there's no one perfect.
Right.
But again, he found out she left her phone, and he never had a reason to check her phone for 4.5 years. But this day, he broke down in church. She got out to go into the store. The phone was sitting there. He said, and it was the Holy Spirit, because he would have never known. And he confronted her. She lied. He got out of the car, started walking, and they had an outburst right there in the middle of the freeway. And from there on, he says, if we don't get some help. And so it's been a very hard 4 weeks. They just started with us. And then last week she found out she was pregnant by him.
Okay.
But he said, now, Dr. Logan, how do I separate what she's done versus being excited about the baby?
And see, you're talking about 4 years being together, dating and getting to know each other. But what we found out was that even during the 4 years, she was still engaged with her ex-boyfriend.
So she has a monogamy issue.
Yes.
She's not able to really commit to one person.
And then dealing deeper into the relationship and trying to help them resolve issues, we found out that at an early age she was sexually molested.
They look at the family origin.
That's right.
You always have to take that into account.
Surely.
So when they come in, I said, tell us a story. Tell me a story. Part of my clinical and therapy and in my speech pedagogy, I took oral communication and oral interpretation and storytelling classes.
Okay.
Because when I preach, I incorporate stories. Both Arthur and I incorporate stories.
Oh, wonderful. People love stories.
Yeah, people love stories. So when they come in, I said, first thing I do, if we go through getting all the information, I sit back like this. I said, I'm listening. Tell me your story.
So when we talk about steps, we're talking about communication, we're talking about taking action, and we're also talking about forgiving each other.
Yes. Now, how do I've been, I'm the husband now. I've been cheated on. I've been with this woman for 4 years. I mean, I say, because if somebody just tunes in, I've been with this woman, and we're like, oh no, what kind of stuff? Okay, so let's say I'm a wife that had a husband that was just consistently cheating on me. How do I forgive that? And two questions. How do I forgive that? And then how do I rebuild trust in this person that has consistently cheated on me? And this is a very significant issue because this is so ubiquitous.
Oh my goodness.
So many relationships have infidelity involved that it's just, it's everywhere. So how do you forgive that and how do you rebuild?
There's a program with 12-step program in AA and which is Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. And one of the sayings that they indicate to the people coming into the program is 1 day at a time.
Okay, so you're living in the moment.
In the moment, especially when you're talking about trust issues, trust issues that have been dissipated. And now we're at a point where we need to re-engage and try to build that trust. So today I'm going to love you, and today I'm going to support you in everything you do, and today I'm not bringing up the past, no matter what.
No matter what.
And it's just like if an athlete made a decision that they want to do well in a particular sport, they have to come up with a routine. They have to practice. And so just like us, when we make a decision that we want to change behavior, we have to implement the change and practice it on a daily basis.
Wow.
But the most important thing that has to be established, even if you're not a Christian, we still have to get to a point where we can share and meditate with each other. Prayer is recommended from us.
Good.
If they come into our office, we indicate to them, this is a Christian counseling.
We've had atheists come in.
Really?
Oh, yes.
And what do you tell them?
And they tell me, I've tried everything else. I don't want to do this, but you came highly recommended. But don't talk about God, please. By maybe 5th, 6th session, we need to pray.
Wow.
It's God. It's God.
Praise the Lord.
And God has sent them there.
Yes.
I want to go back to something Arthur said about risk taking. If you're taking a risk to move forward, then you don't need to go backwards.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Stop
a
looking
great
in the
point.
rear view. Stop
That's a
looking,
great point.
You know, go forward, and you made a commitment to go forward. But this is what happens to a lot of relationships, Yvonne. They pull that stuff right back out again. That poison, they forget to detox. You've done it. It's over.
Yes.
And what I did last week, he took all the phone records. I said, bring all your phone records. Bring all the phone records. And we went in to the restroom at my office, and I burned them. They held them in their hands, and then they let them sing. We threw them into the sea of forgetfulness. It is over, you know. But what happened the next day? He found out that she sent pictures of herself nude to her boyfriend day before the wedding. He said, Dr. Logan, as soon as I let go, something else comes out. And I said, well, you know, that's the enemy's job. Okay,
Yes.
so she doesn't remember everything, but I'm asking the Lord to expose her. Let this stuff come out, because they're such a beautiful couple and they love each other. But again, the forgiveness, taking that risk. He has cried, he has cursed, he has hollered. I just separated him the other day.
Really?
Put him in the waiting lobby, and now she's pregnant. You got to calm down, and she has lupus. So we got a lot of outside contributing factors.
You've got layers.
Layers.
All of these layers. You know, we're not unidimensional. So when you're dealing with these issues, you know, you got this issue on top of this one, on top of this one, and it is just
something.
It is something.
You know, we want to show you something, okay? Arthur, I've been calling you for 10 hours. Where have you been?
Kim, that's not any of your business where I'm
What do you
at.
mean it's not any of your business?
You know, because...
Why can't you pick up the phone? Don't talk to me. Don't say anything to me.
See, Kim, that's your problem.
It's not my problem.
That is your problem.
You're my problem.
No, Kim, I'm not your problem.
You know what?
It's
This
the
is why I
issues
want
that you've been carrying
This is
in.
why we can't communicate, all right?
You don't want no more or no faster than
Whatever.
I do.
Whatever, okay?
See, and you've been going to that pastor and talking about your issues, and it's not doing you any good.
You know what? One of us got to go, and it's not going to be me.
Kim, I'm already gone.
And that's what we see.
Wow.
And that's what we see.
That was intense.
We see it every day. One day, one of our staff person heard Mr. Nowlin. Mr. Nowlin is very quiet. He said, stop it! You know, because he will let them go to get it out to vent. Because one of our rules are you can't discuss anything outside of the therapy session. You got to work on the skills that we give you to work on.
Not even in the car.
Not even in the car.
Oh, so
Nothing.
when you leave, when that couple leaves, they don't talk about it
Until they see us.
until they come back again.
They work
can't
on
talk
other
about
things
those
that we've given them to do.
issues that was really brought up in the session where it causes a lot of pain. We don't want them to talk about it when they get in the car and go home, because it's going to continue to bring up pain, and they may say something that really is difficult.
And they don't have the tools yet to negotiate this, you know, so, because again, before you can reconcile, you got to reconstruct it. You got to look at restoration. How can I restore something if I'm not reconciled with it?
Yes, and what you guys don't want them to do is to continue that damaging pattern of confrontation. The way they're confronting each other is so damaging that you can't take back some things.
You can't.
So it's better to just
Be
not
quiet.
Right.
quiet.
How did you guys get into this kind of work? You seem so well suited for it.
Well,
God.
through the grace of God,
Yeah.
I was doing things in the area of substance abuse and doing workshops and seminars with an agency that I was working for. Kim was in private practice at the time, and she was doing a lot of communication. What was it?
Seminars, workshops.
Speak for Society.
Right, and different things I was doing. But what really brought me to this was that my childhood, my parents. And we're very transparent on the program. You've seen it. You know, my parents went through a divorce when I was 12, and I wanted to understand, and I had several speech impediments, so that's why I did a degree in speech pathology at Oakwood and A&M. And then from
Talk about
there,
sublimation.
come on
right?
now.
Come on.
So I wanted to understand what was wrong with me. Why wasn't it connecting? But then the counseling was something I needed to understand. You know, I wanted to get into the behavior modification. Why couldn't my parents stay together? What was going on in the household? And then later on in life, I found out that my husband was a substance abuser through my husband. And I talk about it because Arthur interviewed me for the new season.
Who was a substance abuser?
My father.
Your father, okay.
I didn't think alcohol was a substance abuse. I didn't think it was.
Okay.
Because it wasn't talked about in the church. It was
my
never talked about.
background in substance abuse, I pointed out some situations and had to provide her with certain information, and that's when the light came on with her. But one of the reasons we came together as far as counseling, I think in therapy, we both were looking for an opportunity to give back to our community. We saw a lot of devastation. I think you and I were talking about that. And we wanted to offer more. And so we really talked and we really came together, but we also recognized that both of us, we had issues that we had to deal with before we can go out and talk to other people.
Right. Shut it down. Don't try. You can do more damage.
And even along the way, Yvonne, along the way, you know, we would clash, and then all of a sudden we would make a decision of how we would resolve those issues. But in the meantime, we're taking notes. What worked for us.
And then, you know, God is so good, because every time someone comes in our office, we kind of look at each other like, did we just go through that? Did the Lord just deliver us from that? And the Lord said, be ye also ye ready, all right? And so many are called, but few are chosen, but they don't accept the call. So, you know, when we get a case, I'm like, wow, did we just do that?
I said, that's Kim, my goodness. When they leave, I'm going to, do you see what I'm doing?
And, you know, we're dealing with a case right now. This man is me, and the wife is Arthur, and it's like, wow. And I said, stop it. Stop it. You know?
Isn't that amazing that God allows you to also see yourselves
absolutely.
in those that come in so that you can guide them?
Yes.
And it's part of maturity. We got to be open to growth and maturity.
Yes.
And a lot of times we don't want to grow. We want to stay in our comfort zone.
Well, change is hard.
Change
and it's
hard.
uncomfortable.
Yes.
You know,
that's the risk.
And that's the risk.
Exactly.
Or you won't move.
Right.
And then it impacts your self-esteem. You become depressed. There are the layers coming, and then then they're looking at other people who are progressing, and now they, you know, you're hating on us because we're doing things in our lives.
Yes.
We found out that it's really important for us to be transparent.
Oh,
you know?
yes.
We don't want to give the perspective that we know everything, because we don't. But one of the things that is so significant to me is, I was talking to a friend who's doing marriage seminars now. And yesterday he and I were talking, and we were saying that as we continue to mature, as we continue to be involved in relationships, that we are constantly in change, you know, because we're dealing with different personalities.
Yes.
Even though I may reach a point where I'm trying to increase my knowledge and develop certain skills to improve my relationship, my spouse may be looking at things from a different perspective, or how she can increase her knowledge and deal with things from a different perspective. It doesn't mean that we're coming together. We can talk about coming together.
Oh, yes.
You know, but still we grow differently, and it's really takes a lot of work for us to move forward.
That's such a good point, that you grow differently. The key is, even though you're growing differently, you don't grow apart.
You don't grow, you got to keep it merged.
You got to keep it merged, yeah.
You know, and again, a lot of people forget the tools. They take away and they put that flesh in there, and it's the I syndrome. It's all about what I want. No, we're a team. And Arthur and I do this thing, I thought we were on the same team. I thought that when we got married, are we on the same team? But, you know, why are we having this battle that we're pulling us apart? And then how it impacts the children. You know, it's again, the layers. And then Arthur will say in a workshop or a seminar, you have to be careful. Your choice impacts everyone else. It's like a ripple effect.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes, so often, and I've read this in some books, relationship books, that you don't think that your choices impact your family. It's you want this extramarital affair. So nobody's going to know. Who really cares? It's not going to hurt anybody. Well, yeah, it does.
It does.
The whole family
The
is
church.
affected. The everybody.
And if
is
Satan can
affected.
destroy the family, he destroys the church.
And that's what's going on
Yes,
right
it is.
now.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
He
it is.
is targeting the
Yes, it
family.
is.
Oh,
And that's
yes.
why we have such dysfunctional families.
Oh, yes.
And we have single parent households.
Yeah.
Before we go, because I can't believe our time is almost up. It's like, I want to do another program with you. But what do you see going on in the church that we're not really addressing? What issues do you see in the church that we really need to focus on?
One of the things that's paramount is our relationship with our youth. Our youth are they are really perplexed as to how they play a role in this church today. Kim works really well with our young people. You know, I'm really impressed and they have a lot of respect for her because she takes risks and she goes and she participates with them and she speaks their language. You know, and they want somebody to be upfront and real with them. So we have to have a real relationship with our youth and get them involved to the extent where they can be on a board meeting. They can participate in our different programs that we offer in a church. Instead of sitting back and being served, they can participate to the point where they are seriously involved as an active participant.
Another issue, substance abuse. It's not being talked about in the church. Abuse, domestic violence, and incarceration.
Yes. Are you guys doing workshops and things like that about
yes.
that? Tell us,
Yes.
we have like a minute and a half left. Tell us what you're doing.
Right now, we're working with 2 halfway houses where we
In Detroit?
In
In
Detroit,
Detroit.
Michigan.
Wonderful.
You know, both of them are male halfway houses, and we deal with substance abuse and we're providing group therapy. Tremendous results with these programs.
Praise the
And
Lord.
then we're the Family Life co-directors of the Lake Region Conference.
Oh, okay.
And so we're on the road every weekend providing support and help and skills and helping people know that you're not alone.
Yes, yes.
You're not alone.
I can't believe our time is up. You know what? I knew before you guys came, I knew that this was just going to be, you just know some interviews are going to be fun and some are going to be kind of dry. But you guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much.
appreciate
Thank you
you.
for
We
all
love
you
you.
do for the cause of Christ. Love you guys and so appreciate everything that
We
you're
love
doing.
you too because
It's a
you took a
blessing.
risk.
You
on
took a
us.
risk.
Well, the Lord is so good.
He's
He
good.
impresses, you know, as to who we should have and all that. So God is good and He provides.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, we have come to the close of another, I started to say making it work.
That's okay.
All right, about making it work of another Urban Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know that the family is so important. Pray for our families, pray for our churches, pray for our young people. Get involved in your church, in your youth groups, all of these things. You must really, really know that God has a special plan for you. Join us next time. It just wouldn't be the same without you.